I'm so excited to have this conversation with you and to share this conversation with you because Leah really helped me get back into that space of being present to see what was possible. So I started spinning out of control before this interview took place, and she gave me a beautiful exercise to become present in this moment, which allowed me to go deeper into this conversation with her about how to be authentic, show up as yourself, allow yourself the space to pivot and to grow. And I think you're going to love it. So I left that quick exercise in this episode for you. It's breathing, it's coming into self, it's a couple minutes long, but I really think that before you go into this episode, because we did get kind of heavy on how we lose ourselves and coming back to ourselves, and why this is a huge part of podcasting is that I think we get so stuck in a rut that we're afraid to pivot, that we're afraid to explore. And I really want you to do the exercise. If you are driving, do not close your eyes, but just taking the breaths and thinking and listening to Leah guide us really will help you get in the right frame of mind for this conversation.
Okay. All right. Take a nice breath in, and as you find yourself in the chair underneath you, feeling your lower belly. And as you exhale, sighing out, relaxing a little bit deeper in the chair underneath you. Noticing your feet on the floor, maybe wiggling your toes just a little bit, finding the presence in the space between your toes. Breathing in again, this time, filling your belly, breathing a little more and pulling it up to your heart. Noticing what's there. Exhaling, letting anything go with a sigh that's not belonging here in this moment. Feeling your spine nice and erect, nice and tall, noticing how it holds and supports you here in the chair. As you breathe in, spiraling the energy up your spine, noticing how it falls at the top of your skull. As you breathe in a little bit more, breathing straight into your third eye, the space between your eyebrows. As you exhale, letting anything go that is not here, that is not present. And as you inhale this last time, connecting right to your throat, noticing what's there, noticing the power, or noticing the strength that you hold in your words. As you exhale, allowing any sounds to flow out of your throat, carrying us into the moment, into this amazing podcast full of magic and power, intention. And with this last breath in reconnecting to your heart and just setting an intention for your time, for your space, for your podcast here today with me. Breathing that intention in. And as you exhale, sending it throughout your body and into the space around you. Wiggling your toes a little bit, noticing the sounds around you. You slowly come back into the space in the chair, into the environment, into the room around you, fluttering your eyes open when you're ready.
So, podcasters, now, isn't that a beautiful way to start a podcast episode? And this is exactly the conversation we've been having before I hit record. And this is why I brought my guest on, is because part of the reason that I see pod fade coming up is that we forget right here, right now. We are future casting. We are past reliving, whatever you want to call it, but we're never here. We never get to discover who we are because we're trying to be something for someone else. We're trying to show up as something. We're trying to do all these things. And if we take a moment, like if you're anything like me, like that just got you in your body And it doesn't matter all the different things that are going on because now I'm here in my leopard print, enjoying my conversation. So, welcome to the podcast, Leah. This is going to be a juicy conversation about how you can breathe life back into yourself, which will in turn breathe life back into your podcast, your business, and your life.
Jennifer, it's so good to be here. And just like, oh, witnessing how that just brought you back into that power, like just dropping into yourself. Oh, what an honor to witness that. Thank you for allowing me to see that, to hold space for that. And like, oh, this power of you and that like cheetah leopard print girl. Oh, yes. I'm so stoked to be here.
Yeah. So we were having this conversation before we're like, okay, let's come into this moment. And I've of course had to share that with my podcasters out there that, like we go through these growth phases. And I think that the last few years have been crazy, but we've also been going through these growth phases. And I think that everyone has been taking leaps and bounds. And I know that you've been taking leaps and bounds. And we were having this conversation about stepping into this new I'm here, that power, whatever you want to call it. I really want to continue this conversation about stepping into yourself and a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, I would love to share. We were resonating at the beginning of this talk on California, and California changed me. Oh my God, did that place just nurtured me in a way that allowed me to really find myself. And that was my intention moving to California. I actually arrived Friday, March 13th, 2020, the day before quarantine exploded in the world around us. And it incubated me. And it helped me see all these things about myself that I was like, oh, I don't like that. It held these dark shadows up to me. And I was like, oh, that's not me. I don't want that anymore. And it allowed me to do this work to find myself. And I think that the world around us, not I think, I know the world around us, what we learned growing up, what we learned from our parents or friends, what we learned from society, from cultural standards, we, especially as women, and I'm going to say men too, like, because we all have this masculine and feminine energy always, right? But especially us women, we have been taught to quiet our voice. We have been taught to make ourselves smaller, to shrink down, to be what other people want us to be, to people please, and to really like ignore what is true for us, what we want. And it's like we're looking to everybody else and everything around us in the external world to help us like solidify our action. And I was so tired of that. It was not making me happy. It was not making me feel fulfilled. It was not bringing me the passion and the light and the fire that is within me. And so the last couple of years have been relearning myself, coming to know myself again, coming home to myself and getting clear on like, what is it that I've learned from external sources? What is it that is actually not true and aligned for me? And who am I? And how do I want to be? How do I want to speak? How do I want to sing? Do I want to write music? Yes, great. Let's do that. Do I want to have a podcast? Yes, great. Let's do that. Do I want to hold spaces for other people to come back into their power? Yes, I want to do that. And so over the last couple of years, it's been me finding these things about myself that light my fire, that bring me passion. And, I now am in a place that because I know these things, or I know where my boundaries are. I know how to speak my boundaries. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know what makes me feel really good when I'm not feeling really good. And I know how to tune into my needs so that I can align myself with what feels good. It's brought me into this place in my life where I'm just like literally looking in the mirror in awe of like what I've not only created in the life around me, but like in awe of the woman that I am looking at in the mirror and who is looking back at me. And it feels really freaking good.
Yeah. I can feel that like deeply now, like in transitions in my life. And I love that you explored different aspects. Like, I'm going to explore music, I'm going to explore podcasting. And my love over here is like podcasting, and podcasting saved my life. I would not be on this planet today if it weren't for podcasting. It was my catalyst that changed the trajectory of me feeling that I deserve to be here. And I
Mhm.
know that there's some sort of story in there, especially with the fact that you took it one step deeper and you're like, no, I'm going to do it. Add into music because music moves the soul. Speaking clears. And I mean, I truly believe that podcasting is a healing modality. Like when it comes down to it, if yeah, we used to build our business and share our stories, but there's a healing aspect. So I want to go a little bit deeper into like that writing music and your podcasting journey and like how that transformed that those shadows that you were starting to see moving to California.
I love that question. Yeah, something that I would love to ask before we dive into that is through another we get to have reflections, right? And I'm hearing that podcasting was a beautiful reflection for you about and around things within yourself. And I'm curious, like, what did that bring up for you? Like, what did you see about yourself through podcasting that helped you like really step into like finding yourself, like you're talking about?
So podcasting for me, I was so isolated and I didn't realize like how isolating I was like in my marriage with my friendships and how some of my relationships forced me out of being who I truly was, which therefore isolated me to being in my room, my one office space, working for myself. And when I opened myself up to podcasting, I started connecting with other women. My first podcast was Feed Your Body with Love. It was my very first podcast. And it was all about this, how do we feed our bodies with love? Like beyond just food. And I think it was episode number 7. I met this beautiful woman and she was talking about living wild and free. And it was, 2020. Like that time, I'm a borderline agoraphobe and she invited me to Costa Rica. Like we had kept in contact and I ended up in Costa Rica on a wild and free retreat. And it was that change where I got to start talking to people where went way outside my comfort zone. Now I'm flying to another country, not knowing the language. And, like it's these little steps. It was that chance meeting that I would have never had if I didn't have a podcast, which made me feel like I was worthy to be here because I was sharing not only her story with my platform, but her story was resonating with me.
I love that so much. Yeah, I'm hearing that like you were able through podcasting to take some of these walls down, to open yourself up, to step into the discomfort, right? To step out of your comfort zone. And as you took these walls down, you actually were able to not only connect more deeply with yourself, but with the world and with the people around you. It connected you with sisterhood. It connected you with community, which is so freaking important because without community, we do not have a reflection so deeply about ourselves. You can only have so deep of a reflection doing the work and being with only yourself. Through others, you come to see yourself more deeply, right? And I love that breaking down of the walls that you really built around you is what's allowed you to step into that wildness, that wild woman energy, right? That archetype, the freedom. And I resonate so deeply with this. And the question that you asked me around music and around self-expression, around all these things, like I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to let myself free in ways that allow me to find flow state, which I see you find through podcasting. And I think this is so important. And one, you and I are reflecting to one another right now, right? And this is again the power of community. You are talking about the taking down of walls and that ability to find yourself, to go within you and expand. And that's what happened to me in the same ways, but through music and through dance specifically, through connecting in community with others, through plant medicines and psychedelics. These have allowed me to take down my walls, to look past those walls and see what's there, and to bring myself into the world around me with more wildness, with more freedom, with more power, with more passion, with more fire. And it's scary. It's scary doing new things. It's scary stepping into that discomfort. Earlier I shared a song that I'm writing with the man that I'm currently seeing, and it was so scary. I was like, oh my God, I feel so vulnerable right now. Holy crap. And I'm like, okay, I'm still going to share it because to me, taken that feeling of, oh my God, I'm scared. This feels scary. This is making me feel so vulnerable and exposed. That to me is now a sign of lean in. It's this little whisper in my ear on my shoulder that's like, you're scared of this. You should actually absolutely do it. Right. And it's one thing to be scared of something if it's like actually going to put you in danger. Right. But if it's not something that's going to put you in danger and it's something that could actually just give you the opportunity to put a new hat on and like try out a new outfit with this cool new hat, right? It's like, ooh, how do I feel in that? Right. So yeah, that's been a big part of my journey is like finding music, and music has been medicine, finding dance, allowing myself to look at like my beliefs around dance and how in my past I would dance and I would quote unquote like bump and grind in the clubs. And like I thought that was how I wanted to dance. And in reality, that was not actually allowing me to be fully self-expressed. And now I get to do all these beautiful forms of dance that allow me to just drop in and express what's inside me, express what I'm feeling without the judgment of others. And if I have these thoughts of this person is judging me, I get to look at it and be like, why do I think that? Am I in a space that is supporting me and not feeling judged? And if I am, why are these thoughts and feelings coming up and where are they coming from? Who was judging me in the past? Where did I learn this? And so that's been a little bit of my process with music and with singing, which sounds like it's been very similar to your podcasting journey, where it's like, oh, this is a little bit scary and I'm going to lean into it and see what's behind those walls. And by taking those walls down, you realize that there's so much more capacity to connect with yourself, to connect with others, the world around you. And as you create more space, you have more space to expand into. And I see that within you.
Yeah. And I think that this is why this kind of conversation is important on a podcast that helps podcasters. Is we do get that uncomfortable, whether it's in music, whether it's sharing our story. And I think part of this is that as we are right now behind a computer screen, whether we're on social media, there's that fear of like being judged. Just like you're like, oh, I'm afraid to share this beautiful song that I wrote with someone that I deeply care about. Now we've taken that someone that we know into strangers. So it just becomes this whole other level of fear. And you keep saying lean in, lean in. And that is one of like the hardest things for us to do. So how did you lean in when it got to be 'cause, I mean, if you're anything like I don't know if you're this is kind of like your story is like I leaned in and all of a sudden I was sick for a week. And I'm like, "Oh, I really wanted to record that podcast about feeling unworthy of the oxygen that was in the air." And we laugh about that, but that's truly how I felt. I thought that I was wasting oxygen that somebody else who was more deserving needed. And how did you move past that? Because that was one of my blocks is it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna share. All right, I'm so sick, I have no voice."
Yeah, isn't it so interesting how we want to lean away from these things that we are so deserving of? And you talk about, right, like this oxygen in the air. It's like you are just as deserving as this other person. And those thoughts and those beliefs, the limiting beliefs, really are the things that when you lean into it and when you explore, help you get to know yourself so much better. And for me, I actually really struggled with this whole leaning in thing for a long time. When I first started my business, I started because I was fired from a place and I was sick and tired of not being able to do what I wanted to do in the ways I wanted to do it. And so I leaned into that. Right. And I kept leaning in and it kept felt feeling scary. And there was definitely a lot of resistance, but I kept doing it because I knew that if I didn't do it, right, nothing was going to happen. Right. There was no outcome that I was going to receive experience that was different than what I was currently in. So I chose to keep leaning in, even though it was scary. But it wasn't until a relationship that I had back in 2022 that taught me so deeply. Oh man, I feel it in my heart as I talk about it, about what is possible when you lean in. And I matched with this man on Tinder. We had a beach walk date. It was our first time connecting. And we started seeing each other. Within the first month, I knew I was madly in love with this man. I knew that I'd had a past life experience with this man, and I was having very vivid dreams of like what had happened in our past life together. And in the past life, we were married and he left for war on a ship sometime in the 1800s. And he left for war on the ship and he never came back. Past life. This life, he was preparing to solar circumnavigate the globe by himself in a sailboat. And I knew that he was going to be leaving and that I wasn't here to go with him. That wasn't my journey. I knew that, and he knew it, that it wasn't my journey to go with him. And in that first month, I really battled a lot within my mind, within my heart. I was like, oh my God, I am in love with this man and he's leaving me. And all my abandonment wounds were being poked and triggered beyond belief. And I had the opportunity to sit here and say, okay, I can lean into this beautiful love and allow it to change me and allow it to bring me lessons and experience and opt in, or I can lean away and opt out and not experience this love and not be in this potential incubator of an experience that I knew could possibly change me. And we, at least for me, I know that relationships, especially intimate relationships, are one of the most beautiful ways to heal and to grow because you're being met so closely by another person. And I chose to lean in. And we had a really, really beautiful 8 months, 10 months of an experience together, just under a year. And he ended up leaving me for another woman. And I was devastated, devastated. And in this whole experience, yes, there was a lot of pain that came up. And simultaneously, that love that was shared between us and the opportunity that that love brought for me to look at my own shadows, to look at the things that were holding me back, to look at why I was so afraid to lean into things, right? And ultimately, I was afraid to lean in because of the potential of pain. And what I got to recognize was that that potential of pain is always going to exist no matter what it is that you do in your life. And if you lean into it, that pain can change you and you can allow it to change you. And that was really the big thing for me that it shifted massively what was happening in my mind around the hesitation of leaning into things. And I'm so glad that I had that experience. I'm so glad I got to grow through that. And it has brought me into this place that it's like, I have this knowing that no matter what happens, no matter how much pain, no matter how much challenge I face in anything in my life, I cannot be destroyed. I cannot be destroyed. I'm going to be okay. And yeah, that's been the deepest lesson for me in my life. And it has expanded me in ways that have allowed me to lean into these unknowns with this knowing. It's like, yeah, this is scary. And I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of this. And I'm going to be good. I am good. And I cannot be destroyed. And that helps me lean in a little bit further.
I'm like, there is so much to unpack there and bringing it kind of full circle back to like sharing your story is like sharing what you just shared. It resonates. That is the power of using your voice, whether that's on a podcast or any of those things, is like you went through the journey, you found the light in the dark and you lean into that, and then you take those little specks of light and you let those light the path in the next dark shadow that comes up, and then you're like, "Okay, I get a little bit of light." So you keep I'm very much like you talk about sailing, I'm very much an ocean girl, so I'm like my everything is life raft or be a beacon of light, like, be your lighthouse and all of those, and I feel in that story that you allowed that story to be kind of a lighthouse to lead to the next path so that you could continue your journey and standing up and being that beacon for someone else and
Yeah,
yourself.
totally. And I love what you're saying about the light and the darkness because that is what I speak about so often, right? I talk about so many things, the mind body connection, epigenetics, like how your thoughts and beliefs and your emotions play a role in your physical body and the experience within your physical body, but also the things that happen in the environment around you, as within, so without, right? What happens within is going to be mirrored in the world around you. But what it comes down to is really being able to see and find the light within the darkness because it always exists there. And I just love that you reflected that back to me, because it is the roots of me. It is the roots of why I'm here, is to help people see the light that is within the darkness. And, even in this lighthouse that you're talking about, it is this beacon of light. And how can you reconnect to that beacon of light always? And even earlier, like I know that you and I were talking about some challenges that were coming up for you prior to the podcast that we are recording at this moment in time. And I'm curious, like, how were you able to reconnect to that light within you in all of the thoughts and all of the things and all of that which was coming up for you? How did you do that before this?
Well, coming into back into the breath, the little breath practice that you gave us before we started, that really helps. And there's this internal piece in me that's like podcasting is my platform to allow for healing into the world. Like my saying is we're not made to be ripples, we're meant to be tsunamis. And a tsunami sounds super destructive, but what it really does is it comes in, it washes over things. It takes down the stuff that's not built on a strong foundation, and you can rebuild what you desire. And that is kind of knowing that there's this conversation. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things going on. Like I was invited to speak on a stage. Me, Miss, I don't leave this room or this behind this mic is invited to speak on a stage tomorrow. And I got invited like a half an hour ago. So there is a lot going on, and that's the power of what you're talking about. That's that power of that breath. That's the power of that internal fire, that why. Like you write your music, there's a purpose behind it. I decided to do this podcast and haven't given up through all the crap, the ups and the downs, because I know that I'm meant to create a community and a space that is all these life rafts, that is all these lifelines, these shining stars that don't want to get out into the ocean because they're afraid of the water, that want to be the lighthouses to bring us back in. Like I know that I'm meant to gather the community. So coming back, when I go back into the breath, I come back into that inner piece of like, I am a connector.
I love that. And I'm hearing two really important things that I want to reflect back to you, and I want to reflect back to the listener here, right? It's one, the breath is your easiest, freest, most inexpensive tool that you have to reconnect to what's happening here, to your pillar, to your foundation, to yourself, right? And whenever you're going through any experience that's bringing up chaos in the mind, that maybe there's chaos in the world around you, you can always use the breath to come back, to recenter, to recon, to reground, right? And so that's the first part that I want to reflect. And then the second part is that connection to what you know about yourself, right? And so tomorrow, when you get ready to step on that stage to speak in front of that microphone, you get to use your breath. You get to reconnect with your inner knowledge, right? That higher intelligence within you, the thing that you know that is so deeply connected to source, that brings light on exactly what your mission is and what you are here to do and why you are here to do it. And by reconnecting with that, which you know, with that knowledge within you, it lights that fire. It brings you back. And I love that you brought that up.
It goes so closely with podcasting and using it as a tool to share, a tool to serve, a tool to allow for healing, is that it comes full circle. That's why this show had to get rebranded, or it's in the process of getting rebranded to your podcast is someone's life raft, because we can spit strategy all day. We can sit in that like analytical masculine structure, but for creative souls that are here on a mission, that's not going to serve in the manner in which our hearts desire.
No, and that's the important part about really dropping back into that feminine essence, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, right? Because we live in this society that encourages us to do more, to be more, to accomplish more, to go, go, go. And when you're in that space, you actually can't drop back into that creativity, that nurturing flow. You can't drop into that essence of feeling and expressing. And that form of expression that we see through podcasting that you're offering here, that literally is what connected you to this event that you're doing tomorrow, right? That expression of self, that, that is the essence of creation, of all forms of creation. And it's so important to continue to reconnect back with that through the breath, through that higher knowledge within you, right? Through all these different ways of somatic experiencing, through embodiment, through being able to be with yourself so that you can pull that which is here in your heart and in your throat out from you and share it with the world because it's meant to be shared. It's not meant to stay here within you because when it just stays alone within you and when you don't express it, it actually can't impact the other people around you. And that's why I love especially helping women really regain that power, really reconnect with themselves, with their confidence, with their voice, with their passions, with that feminine essence, because through that, you get to step into your leadership. You get to step into your most powerful, most confident version of you and be a leader for the world around you. And when you heal and when you grow and when you lead, the whole world around you, whether it's your children, whether it's your sisters, whether it's your friends, whether it's your community, they get to see that. Now you get to be a reflection to them and show them what's possible. Whether you're a podcaster, whether you're a speaker, when you step into that leadership, when you step into that feminine essence, when you step into that full expression of self, your authenticity, other people see that, other people feel that, and they go, oh, wow, that's possible for me too.
And that's one of the most powerful statements. That's possible for me too. So if someone is really struggling with, okay, how do I step into this? How can they get into your space?
Well, you can definitely find me on all forms of social media at Mind Body with Leah, all platforms. I do a lot of free offerings. I do free coaching on a weekly basis. I offer free workshops on a monthly basis. And I have different ways of working with me. If someone's like, oh my goodness, this is resonating. I resonate with your story. I want to step into my confidence. I want to find my voice. I want to step into my authenticity. I want to express myself so fully so that I can be the best leader as a mother, as a friend, as a partner, as a podcaster, whatever it is in your world. If you're ready to step more into that leadership, just chat with me. Come reach out. I love connecting with humans, even if they don't end up working with me. But I do have different group programs. I have a membership for women. I have one-on-one work. There's so many different ways that I can meet you based off of where you're at and what it is that you're looking for and what you're in need of. So again, even if you don't work with me, like come be a part of my world, come connect with my community. Just like I have so much love and so much fire and so much light that I want to share. And like if I can give that to you, I've done my job.
Yeah. And I really think that that's, again, part of your singing, part of you showing up on podcasts, part of, like your journey is really, again, being that beacon of hope, being that life raft for somebody who's drowning. And I love that you have, so many different ways to support someone on their journey. And, that's kind of like this podcast for me. Like, does it generate income? No, it costs me money to run my podcast. Let's be real. Like, but the network, that community piece, again, is part of my journey. It's part of my reason for being on this planet is to make, if one person doesn't feel alone today, great, we've done our job. Like if you feel heard and seen, that's stepping in. I want to be and bring people on that make you look inside and say, "Oh my goodness, they understand. I'm not alone. Oh wait, I'm not that cool. This is somebody else has done this too. Somebody else went through this crap. I thought I was special in my own shadow." And I love your energy and how you're able to serve. And it's not just like, come into my space and how you must work with me. And I think that that's one of the things that we're taught so much right now is like, think of your profits first. Let's think of the people before the profit.
Yeah. And that is the power of community. Community offers you, like we were talking about earlier, the deepest form of reflection of yourself. And in community, you get to expand and grow way past what you even thought was possible for you, right? Because you see this permission and this proof within another person that allows you to see yourself in a different light, through a different lens. And I am so, so, so encouraging of all the people that I work with, especially one on one. But, when I'm in community spaces and when I'm leading community spaces, it's a little bit different because the community is naturally built into it. But I'm always inviting my clients, like, go out, seek out community, seek out the people that you feel so truly aligned with. And sometimes people are like, oh, how do I do that? And it does require you to really understand yourself first. Like, what are your values? What's important to you? What brings you pleasure? What do you desire? What lights you up? And find the spaces with other people that also share those same things, right? Whether it's singing, whether it's dancing, whether it's podcasting, whether it is food and eating. Like, there's so many things that you can connect with another person on, motherhood, right? And so learning those things about yourself, which is the first step when I'm working with my clients, is helping someone really look at themselves and like understand what is within them so that then they can find the resonance in the world around them and feel more connected. Like you're talking about podcasting did. Through podcasting, you got to feel more connection, right? And same thing with the person who is listening, right? Understanding yourself to a deeper level is going to allow you to connect deeper with the world around you and find the things that are in alignment with you. And in the process, there is going to be some death. There is going to be some mourning of the things that you're like, oh, actually, this is no longer aligned with me. This doesn't feel good anymore. And it can be hard, but that's part of the process of aligning yourself exactly with the journey that is best and true for you.
Ooh, yes. And just like everything, it's finding that journey that is best for you. And, the podcasters that's out there listening, maybe you're struggling right now with this because you've boxed yourself in, because you've put a wall up on your journey and you're like, if I expand, I'll lose this. That's this death piece of losing something. I've been going through that. I'm like Cure for Pod Fade. That was my platform for quite a while. That's what got me speaking invites and stuff in the past that I've always said no to until today. But, like the death of my first podcast, Feed Your Body with Love. Like I mourned that, but I grew from that. And I think that that's like an important lesson to take away is sometimes something must go, something must die to regrow. With death is life.
Yeah, you bring up the concept of the life, death, life cycle. And it is a part of all things. It's a part of us as humans. It's a part of nature. It's a part of everything in the universe. And without death, we cannot have life. And there's a book that I highly recommend to both men and women listening to this, Women Who Run with the Wolves. It was written by a woman, particularly for women, but I think it's a beautiful way for both men and women, regardless of what gender you are, to really get clear and understand how the life, death, life cycle impacts you, how to be with your intuition, how to be with your feminine essence, how to lean into the darkness, to the challenges, to the death process so that life can be on the other side. Like today, you said no until today, and you landed a speaking gig that is literally tomorrow, right? And it is this stepping into creation, into life, into this newness, into this new experience. And yeah, it's going to be scary because it's freaking new, right? But it's bringing new lessons, it's bringing new opportunities, it's bringing new creation to you and to your journey. And I am so excited to hear how your first in-person speaking event goes tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be powerful.
I'm excited. The worst thing is like, so I was talking to myself, because we have these internal conversations. I'm like, I think the thing that I'm most scared of is like, what's my outfit going to look like? And what are the pictures going to look like? And I'm like, ooh, we need to work on that.
What do
Like,
you
I'm
feel
not worried
best
about
in?
what I'm going to speak about, but I am like,
What are you going to wear? What do you feel the
what
best
if I
in?
trip
Like,
over my shoes in? Like,
what do you feel empowered in? What do you feel like so strong and confident and sexy? Like, what is it that you have that you feel that in?
and that's I'm in a rebrand of my entire life right now. So I'm uncomfortable in everything. So that's part of my journey, is like just showing up uncomfortably. Just like I'm sure sharing your stories, there's still some discomfort in the journey, even though we've seen the little flakes of light through the darkness. Like just going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to wear shoes that are relatively stable because I'm kind of clumsy, and that's one of my big fears, is falling down and having a dress fly over my head. So probably not a dress.
Well, you got that check. How about like the cheetah, the leopard print you have on? Like, does that make you feel in that powerful? Like,
Yeah, and I got a lot of cheetah in the closet, so probably
ooh,
be
okay.
something cheetah-y.
Sounds like that could be really empowering for you as you step on stage and like as you do the breath, reconnecting with the breath before you step on stage and as you reconnect with that knowledge within you, right? That higher intelligence within you, like remind yourself, oh, I'm in cheetah print today. Like I'm gonna rock this. Right. Reminding yourself how powerful you feel in that. Remind yourself how stable you feel in the shoes that you're wearing because you know you're not gonna fall, right? And you're supported, right? Reminding yourself of like that breath and allowing that to bring you back to, I am so calm. I am so at ease. I am here because I know my mission. I know that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I know the power that my voice has on other people and the impact it has on other people. And so, like, pulling all these little tools into something that feels uncomfortable is what is going to give you that power. And, like, you're going to freaking own it tomorrow.
Just like all you podcasters are going to own podcasting in 2024, because you're going to step in, you're going to lean in, and you're going to take those little moments of light in the dark shadows, and you are going to shine, 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 so you can keep moving forward.
Yes, you are.
So is there anything that you'd like to leave our podcasters with that can help them in that moment of fear, like, oh my goodness, I am going to share this thing that's scary, or I need to move to this next level, or I'm ready to pivot?
I think really coming back to the conversation from earlier that we had around leaning in, it's like, well, you have two options. You can lean in and you can experience something new, a possibility that could be even greater than you imagined, or you have a second option of not leaning in and not doing it and not having those possibilities and opportunities come to you and not having the growth and the experience that comes with that. Right. And just like, again, like we just talked about too, reminding yourself of the things that make you feel powerful, reminding yourself of your mission, bringing yourself back to the breath so that you can ground and you can reconnect, move past all the chaos that's happening in your mind, right? In the environment around you and recenter yourself. Use that breath to do that and use that breath to reconnect you to your power. What do you know to be true about yourself? And before you take that step in and before you lean in, remind yourself of that and carry that power, carry that essence into the thing that you are doing as you step forward. Remind yourself of who you are and why you're here. Remind yourself of your mission and reconnect to that power that is within you, to that love and that light that is within you, so that no matter how dark the shadow is, no matter how challenging the experience is, you know that you're going to be okay and that you're going to move through it and that you cannot be destroyed.